Thank you all again for coming. Now, some of the more observant of you in the audience may have noticed a certain newspaper has in the last few weeks been celebrating its 50th birthday. I know they've downplayed it, but you would have noticed the celebrations, the parties and the like. And while the Australian, like any newspaper, really does deserve to be celebrated for reaching its half-century, it is but an infant compared to the 185-year-old Sydney Morning Herald and the 160-year-old Melbourne Age. When you consider how long these mastheads have been part of Australia's media landscape, and also their rich journalistic legacy, boasting some of this country's best journalists, you get a really strong appreciation about why there is so much interest, certainly amongst their readers, and very certainly amongst the company shareholders, interest in the path ahead for this media company. But the task of keeping Fairfax Publications profitable, as everyone in this room knows, is far from easy. Print circulations are falling, advertisers are rushing online, and so too increasingly are all of us as we change the way we consume media. So, what form will Fairfax Publications take in 3, 5, 10 years' time? These are questions Greg and the Fairfax board are grappling with constantly. Toss in the odd disaffected billionaire investor, and you get an idea that Greg Hywood's life is far from dull. Greg has been in the Fairfax hot seat now for more than 3 years. He came to the top job, in fact, better prepared than most media chief executives. In a more than 30-year career, he served as publisher and editor-in-chief of The Age, the Sydney Morning Herald, the Sun Herald in Sydney, and the Financial Review. As well as selling newspapers for a brief period, he also sold the stakes as the chief executive of Tourism Victoria. Here to speak about the future of Fairfax, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Greg Hywood.
Thanks, Michael, and thank you for not taking the speech. I have done that. I've taken my papers, taken the speaker's notes, which is actually embarrassing myself and the person. So, good afternoon, everyone, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I just want to speak for about 15 minutes or so, not too long. This is a group of journalists. You want to ask questions, my job to give answers, so let's get on with it. Look, obviously, let's just start where we should, which is just acknowledging the horror and tragedy of events overnight in the Ukraine and beyond. Just on behalf of everybody at Fairfax, and there's a number of people here today, we would like to extend our condolences to the families and friends of all those affected in this dreadful situation. I'm sure they're in everyone's thoughts. And as news people, we're watching the events as they unfold and thinking of what an extraordinary day it is. In fact, the fact that all of you are here, I'm not really sure about it. It's really probably a time when we should all be behind our keyboards and writing stories and producing stories around what's happening out there rather than what's happening in our industry. But one more observation, it is days like today that our audience and our communities really value reliable, independent media voices. It's days like today that media on all platforms will be the key source of information as we will try and grapple with the enormity of it all. But to today's speech, and it's a speech I'm actually enjoying and looking forward to giving. It would be hard not to be aware of what you'd call the recent conga line of hysteria of not particularly varied books written about Fairfax. And while I don't want to dampen the spirits of the various publishers and the variety of authors, I have to say their definitely prose has been overtaken by time and our company's contemporary performance. So how about a new book? How about a new book? Another book. Fairfax Media, alive, exclamation mark. And how a 185-year-old newspaper company weathered the storm and confounded them all. So I'm going to take you through the précis of that book today. While some people have been myopically focused on the old days, we have been unashamedly focused on our future, and we like what we see. Focusing on that future, both in terms of delivering quality journalism and commercial strength, has seen us reshape, restructure and revitalise our company. We've thought our way through the challenges, and I stress we have thought our way through the challenges the media faces and shaped a new model to sustain quality journalism. We've made tough decisions, and the nature of constant change in our industry means that we will never stop. We've created a new Fairfax that hasn't compromised what's at our core: high quality, independent journalism, which we provide across print, digital, radio, to the communities we serve. Now, while media companies have made a self-serving art of interpreting the various industry measurement diagnoses, there are a couple of numbers that can't be challenged. Fairfax Media reaches 10.6 million Australians 14 and over a month across our publishing mastheads. The Sydney Morning Herald is indisputably the most read masthead in this country. The Age is not too far behind. Underlying that, our publishing earnings are solid. Our share price is up 80% in a year, and key parts of our business, most notably Domain, are growing rapidly. So in my précis of Fairfax Media Alive, I'm going to demonstrate how our business model is well beyond theory, it is working. So proof point one, quality journalism and investigative journalism is alive and well and thriving at Fairfax. People know my mantra: quality journalism is a public good. We deliver that in a commercial model, but it is a public good. Fairfax journalists ask the questions people don't want to ask and are not always popular in what they pursue, but we're not in it as a popularity contest. Great journalism makes communities stronger, more civil, more open, and more transparency makes our society the sort of place we all want to live in. The Age here in Melbourne, reigning newspaper of the year, is true to that mission. In the past 12 months alone, 5 Walkley Awards, 6 Quills, Carolyn Wilson winning the Graham Perkin Award. The Age's journalism is powerful. The Age's investigative journalists continue to set the national agenda. Their work led directly to the state parliamentary inquiry into institutional child abuse, triggering the current Royal Commission. Revelations about the CFMEU and other union corruption led directly to the Royal Commission's unions. Adele Ferguson and Chris Bettelago's revelations persuaded the Commonwealth Bank to lift their compensation to victims of bad financial advice to at least $250 million. Their stories prompted the Senate inquiry into the industry. Now, whether it's The Age or the iconic Neil Mitchell on 3AW, audiences flock to Fairfax. It's journalism which makes our business tick. Our ability to accumulate the huge audience we have is utterly dependent upon our ability to do that at scale, at large scale. We don't put 5 journalists into the field, we don't put 10 journalists into the field. Every day, we put thousands of reporters into the community. In the major metropolitan centres and in 200 publications across regional and rural Australia. Our reporters are now using all the instruments on hand to change journalism from a one-way flow into a broader community conversation. Social media enables us to create this national conversation, which can involve crowdsourcing information, enabling our audience to become fully engaged in the delivery of news and information themselves. This is our virtuous circle. And while we would all love to have an open checkbook, We have to and do deliver our journalism within a new functional and sustainable commercial model. Which brings me to proof point 2. We have adjusted to this new commercial reality. As we know, disruptive digital forces have snuffed out the model that many of us grew up with. The rise of pure play online classified operators, Google taking a big chunk of the display ad market into search, and the proliferation of smart devices has changed the media world forever. The abrupt structural change that triggered the collapse in print advertising revenue is an ongoing reality in the world, including Australia. The data shows that the UK and the US being hit by this print revenue fall as early as 2004, and for a variety of reasons it only started really hammering Australia some years later. And none of us should kid ourselves that it has stopped yet. Having seen the devastation offshore, we knew there was no time to waste, and we began our, what some people saw as radical and what we knew was necessary reshaping of the business in 2010, and was not a second too soon. We were criticised at the time for being too upfront and honest with our employees. Well, I've never been happy with one person losing their job, but I will not apologise for giving people a fair and honest warning of what had to occur. And our new model has never been just about cutting costs, although clearly that has been part of it. It has also been about 1, stabilising revenues, 2, building new adjacent revenues, and 3, building new businesses. As part of the new Fairfax newsmaking has included stabilising our publishing business, reorganising our newsrooms to be genuinely digital first, significantly reducing costs, and absolutely outsourcing parts of the business where appropriate. We've completely dismantled the legacy-based, vertically integrated structure and become a leaner, more agile organisation from editorial production, advertising sales, and contact centres. Revenue used to be just advertising revenue and cover price income. It has now evolved into digital subscriptions, marketing services, property services, and much more. Now, we've been profoundly successful with increasing digital subscriptions. Since introducing them for The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald a year ago, we've signed up around 130,000 high-yielding digital subscribers, as at our last market update in May. In addition, 100,000 existing print subscribers have activated their digital access. We run on a 24/7 digital first basis, where the production of a physical newspaper is an important but just part of the process. And talking about our newspapers, and I'm going to be explicit here, the metros are increasing their profitability. They provide strong cash flows. I've said repeatedly, Fairfax is committed to producing profitable newspapers. They are more profitable now than when I first said that a number of years ago. So how have we done this? Well, we've improved their profitability by smarter production methods, increasing their circulation yield. We've increased the price of the papers 50% in 2 years. We've reduced the production of them, the unprofitable reduction of them, deliberately by 30%. And while doing that, we've continued to perform well in readership and revenue market share. One example of the massive changes we've made is that we've got out of $600 million of oversized capital investment in Tullamarine and Chullora. These were plants built to produce 450-page Ages and the Sydney Morning Herald with full classifieds. They were no longer relevant. Those papers aren't that big anymore. So we've reduced that, we've gone out of $600 million and replaced it with $40 million of incremental revenue in Ballarat and in our North Richmond plant. This has saved us $45 million in print costs each year. Now, Fairfax is not just about newspapers. We have a national news, talk, sport, radio network, of which 3AW is the shining star. We're investing for the future. We believe that shaping the conversation in our communities through news and talk is a better place to be than in music, which has been massively disrupted by new streaming technologies. And this morning, the power of 3AW, the power of radio shows, as it led the conversation, as it brought together the information and also reflected the concerns immediately of the community around what has occurred in the Ukraine and the Middle East in the last 24 hours. So powerful. We're committed to radio, absolutely committed to radio. We're committed to getting it right. Change doesn't happen overnight, but absolutely we're here for the long haul. Now, before I want to get on to my next proof point, I would like to take a moment to talk about our people. Yes, there's been change. Yes, a lot of people have left Fairfax. But don't doubt that our strategy is directed at the core of what we do, our journalism. It's a little known fact that reporters have left Fairfax at half the rate of everybody else in the company. The brunt of the change has been borne by people in management and people in the support services underpinning our journalism. The focus has been around maintaining as many reporters in the field at scale as has been humanly possible. And don't think that Fairfax is just an outward movement. As we've developed new areas in the company to invest in and to make money that sustains our journalism, we've employed 1,000 new people in Fairfax in just the past year in a mix of replacement and new roles. And really, quite frankly, an influx of new people and some generational change has been good for Fairfax, as it is for all organisations. Young people have been given the opportunity to take on the responsibilities that were available to me and my generation when we started in the media many years ago. Now, I don't have to tell you that journalism as a career is alive and well. Hundreds of talented, highly qualified young people compete for the trainee journalist positions we continue to keep open at the Age, the Sydney Morning Herald, and the Australian Financial Review, and all our other publications around the country. There's incredible energy, there's incredible passion, a huge desire to be part of what we do. That has never changed, and there's absolutely no sign of it changing one bit. Which brings me to proof point 3, and there's only 4 of these, so not far to go. While we're transforming our old newspaper business into a multi-platform media organisation, we've also been growing new businesses which are heavily aligned to the core of what we do. Property services, marketing services, data services, events. This involves taking a 360-degree view of clients' needs. It's not only advertising that clients want from us now. It's a full suite of marketing services that goes way beyond the notion of providing mere advertising, just advertising. That is really building new revenue flows into the business. Also look at the success of Domain. We said in May that the EBITDA growth, which is fundamentally the profit growth of that business, was up 33% year on year. We've just bought All Homes in Canberra, which is the #1 provider in that market. Earlier in the year, we bought Property Data Solutions. I won't go into too much detail about the future of Domain, but we're incredibly confident of that future, and all I can say is watch this space. And Fairfax is not in just a strong position to build off its core, but also to invest for the future, which brings me to proof point 4. Balance sheet strength gives us optionality and flexibility. Fairfax, a couple of years ago, had in excess of $1 billion in debt. We have not only no debt now, we have $100 million in the bank. This gives us the capacity to invest in and, if necessary, borrow what we need to grow. Education, travel, health, lifestyle are all areas which we can and will invest in if it makes sense. Leveraging that audience, leveraging that marketing inventory and that power to build new businesses, to sustain what we do. The point I'm making is that our ability to successfully restructure and to invest in the future gives us the ability to underpin quality journalism for the future. Now it's different. It's a different business model to what it was 10 years ago. It's certainly different to what it was 20 years ago. But who said, where is the rule book? Because I couldn't find it. Where was the rule book that said that journalism had to be sustained via classified advertising? There's no rule book. What you have to do in a media business is look more broadly and think way beyond the way we had to think in the past. When frankly, given the fact that we had oligopolistic monopoly profits, we didn't have to think where the revenue was coming from, but now we do. And that's when I say we've thought our way through these issues. Restructure the business, got the legacy costs to where they needed to be, but the reality of the environment that we're in. Look at how we can make revenue in different ways from the core business and get ourselves into the position that we can invest in the future in other businesses. It's just a different way of delivering what we're here to do. So what I'm saying is really simply, this is a contemporary business model underpinning contemporary journalism. Journalism in 2013, not journalism in 2004, 1994, 1984, 1974, 2014. So, in simple terms, our ongoing strength comes down to our ability to add value to our audience, to use the enormous audience with the enormous credibility we bring to that audience to do and run our business in different ways. We've got trusted brands. People still look to us to take what is happening out in that world and pull it together and condense it into something which gives them context in which they can look at their lives and do their duties. It's a really simple proposition. That bit hasn't changed. That was as relevant in 74 as it is in 2015. And we're just doing it in a different way. Journalism is the core of what we do. Fairfax is committed to independent quality journalism. Emphasis on independent, emphasis on quality. That's what we do. Just doing it in a different way. Commercial. Happy to take Q&A.
Thank you very much, Greg, for a great speech. I'm sure it's brimming with journalists and media to answer lots of questions. If you can just say your name and from an organisation, the organisation you're from, before asking questions. Who's going to open the back?
Another question.
Just take it mic and start.
I agree. Just a positive suggestion, and that is one thing that I think everyone needs to congratulate Fairfax over the years for supporting. I think the Eight in particular has had the best car service for a very long time, and I'm just making a suggestion that with the viability down the road, that if it was possible for Fairfax to look at in that building perhaps, establishing a public gallery involving those fantastic cartoonists. I don't know if the name of my handwriting, I don't even probably go through very many of them. I know that the Wheeler Centre does give an occasional thing, but my feeling is that there's been such a fantastic group of cartoonists that I think in the washover, people tend to take it for granted. And I think if there's a space, for example, down the Age Building, there could be a public gallery particularly, that could have a regular display of those cartoons that were done. I think that would add tremendously to Fairfax and tremendously to the readership of the Age. I've always loved it. And if I just add one other add-on, and that is I know that you would have been singing Happy Birthday to Rupert on Tuesday, but I just wonder if you have any thoughts about the positive role of the Australian trade made to Australian journalism over the 50 years.
Thinking about all those cartoons that we couldn't publish, and whether that would be worth showing the character.
That could be in the dark side.
In the dark side. No, it's absolutely right. We've got a gallery space on that upper ground level in Media House, and there's art. Actually, you get us on a point where we're actually considering what we should do with that space. And there's a range of different options available. But what we do want to do is open it out and engage the community much more effectively in that space. Look. In terms of the Australian contribution, I think the Australian has made its contribution, like all newspapers. We make positive and negative contributions. I certainly was in the 70s when I was getting into journalism. It was a paper which I read and respected. So of course, someone who wants to invest in the media. Create jobs in the media, deliver journalism to our community, I greatly respect.
Yes, down the back there.
Hi, it's Sarah Duncan from the Australian newspaper. Thank you for your kind words. I've got a couple of questions that have been sent out from the media guests, so please.
Who wrote them? Chris wrote them or?
Sharon.
Sharon, right, okay, good. Okay, so I'm talking to Sharon. Okay.
Look, this week, Simon Murray from Alan Gray was saying that Fairfax could be at the end of its life cycle and speculated that a breakup of the company was possible and that one of the papers might close and move to digital. Can you respond to those comments?
Well, I'm not sure what Simone actually did say. I saw what was reported. Look, Simone has been a long-standing and very successful investor in Fairfax. He at one stage had a shareholding in the teens, and as I said, our share price has gone up 80%, and Simone's organisation has done well with that. So I congratulate him for his foresight in investing in Fairfax. I made a really simple point, and I can repeat it here. Our mastheads are more profitable now than they were a year ago and 2 years before that, because we've made enormous changes. We've built a new structure. We've built a new commercial structure around our organisation and around our metro, and they are in a very strong, sustainable position.
Are you able to provide a commitment that the Age newspaper, for example, will be running 7 days a week in 5 years' time?
Look, I'm just making a really simple point, and we have sustainable, strong products in the foreseeable future. They are improving their position in the market. As I said, the Sydney Morning Herald is the most widely read publication in this country. not far by the age. Now, when I was, I entered journalism, the most widely read publication in the country was the Sun and the Herald. Now it's the Sydney Morning Herald. But I think the audience is voting with its eyes and voting with its engagement. It is choosing our mastheads. We have very large, very high quality audience, and it is going to sustain their mastheads well into the future.
Is that an actual commitment though?
Is that a commitment? Yeah, it's an absolute commitment that we're going to sustain our mastheads well into the future.
Through the Bain and Co report, which has been published previously as well, there was plans to replace 75% of experienced journalists through natural attrition with cadets. Can you just take us through the rationale behind that and how not retaining some of your best reporters might limit those trainees in their development?
Well, the interesting thing about when you go through, when you look at a newspaper company, and a few years ago you were looking at a newspaper company and you sort of say, well, clearly print revenues are going down. Well, it doesn't. It's across the world. It's not just Australia, and it's not just us in Australia. What do you do to deal with that? Now, as I said, newspaper companies, because they had such, frankly, easy money, they were in virtually monopoly positions in some markets. The revenue looked after itself. When it didn't look after itself, what you do is that you go through and you look at absolutely every option. Absolutely every option. And that's your job. I mean, my job as CEO of Fairfax is not to look at what's happening tomorrow or next week. It's to look 3, 5 years, 10 years down the track and make sure that we're managing for what is clearly going to be a different and uncertain future. And you put everything on the table. You have to put everything on the table. You wouldn't be doing your job if you didn't put everything on the table. And you don't pick the most radical, you pick the most sensible. So what might be written down as an option is not what you do. You make the option, you make the call around what is sensible, and that is what we make. That's the call that we make. But I tell you what, I want an organisation, and I want people working in an organisation that throw it all on the table. I want an organisation that doesn't hide behind hope that it might get better in the future. What people at Fairfax want is leadership who are managing for an uncertain future and putting everything out there and then making, within the context of all the options available, making the really smart calls, and I think that's what we've done.
Actually, while we bring the mic around, that actually makes me quite happy. It means Sherry won't be slapping the ABC in her diary on Monday. You said at the time of your 3-year anniversary in the job, back in April, March, I think it was, that you were 70% of the way through the restructuring process in Fairfax. How much more to go? How many more jobs to go? How many more journalist jobs to go as part of that restructuring process?
What I make the point is change never stops in the media. It's never stopped since I started in the 70s. It's accelerated, obviously, when the internet came in and really started biting in the mid-90s. It's changed all of our worlds forever. And as the internet becomes the dominant media delivery system, it will change considerably. I mean, it has an incredible transaction capability. So therefore, we're changing within that context. But I made a couple of points, and they're really important. First is that we've hired 1,000 people in the last year as well. We replace people. People come in and deliver new roles. The notion of creating an audience is not just about writing a story and putting a page on. It's creating an audience through different mechanisms which are relevant to a digital world. And so we're getting those sorts of people in who can help us do that and deliver that. So it's going to be a different mix of people. Some people will go, some jobs will go, new jobs will be created. It's a dynamic, it's an organism, it's life. And the point that it's important to understand about Fairfax is that we embrace that. We don't hide from that. And it's making the organisation an incredible place to work. Not hidebound by a past. You celebrate the past and traditions that you've got, and you make a new future with that base. You know, it's great that it's brilliant that we've come out of an environment where our publications are 180, 160 years old. It provides us with a responsibility for communities, which we take that very seriously. But we're going to deliver our journalism in the manner that our audiences want, that makes us relevant. So the focus has to be, because as I said, we deliver a public good within a commercial model, our focus has to be to make sure that that commercial model works as well as it possibly can.
Hi, my name is Cameron Crane. I work in marketing for News Corp in Victoria. Obviously, me and my team are constantly scanning content in all publications, websites, print, what have you. And it's really just an observation, and my question to you is, after the debate in Clay verdict the other day, we were somewhat surprised to not see very much coverage in The Age at all in print. Obviously lots digitally. And I guess my question to you, do you think that was, what was behind that decision, and do you think it was the right one?
I don't want to comment on individual stories and choices. I just want to make the point that editors, we give editors absolute independence to make their calls about what should or shouldn't be in their publications. I was in Brisbane a week or so ago. The place was in an absolute frenzy about that story. Completely dominated by that story. Where I'd spent a lot of time during the week. They were a bit interested in Melbourne, they were a bit interested. So I think what editors do, and they should do, is that they make choices around the relevance of the story to the communities that they are reporting. And so if there are other issues that are important to the people of Sydney or people of Melbourne, the editors of our publication should reflect that. I think it's just a really simple point.
Greg, Mike Osborne from AAP. You've spoken a little bit about your major mastheads in radio, but I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the future and particularly the penetration of how the websites in the capitals where you don't have mastheads.
They're extremely strong. I mean, we had a remarkable scene during the tennis coverage a year or so ago when, completely unprompted by us, Clive Palmer jumped up in the middle of the tennis with a 30-second ad saying, people in Brisbane should read the Brisbane Times, which is our up there. And he obviously thought that he wanted a little bit more competition in the community that he lived in. They are recognised, WA Today, Brisbane Times are recognised in their communities, very broadly recognised in their communities as great additions to the media debate and great contributors to their communities. And they perform remarkably well, given the fact that they're relatively recent startups in those communities. So they do very, very well. And sometimes, look, there's a number of measurements of success, but sometimes they certainly have audiences over and above the local sites that have sprung out of the local newspapers.
Ken Davis from the Clifton Group. Firstly, Greg, thank you for giving your time to the humble Melbourne Press Club.
I didn't notice the humble.
He'll be here soon. Shane's going to hug me for this, but cross-pollination between the Age and the 3AW, I don't think, from a listener and a reader, you do enough. Why don't we have more of Caroline Wilson in the Age and on AW in the morning, pumping up the stories in the Age? Why don't we have more, Age commentators going on to 3AW. It seems that there's another organisation that'd be.
Well, I mean, Caroline does appear very often on 3AW. There's no doubt about that. I think it's a fair point. What happened is that Fairfax brought in 3AW with a stable number of years ago, and I think they were kept relatively separate. There wasn't a great attempt at integration. In terms of the new management that was put in across the radio group a year or two ago, there has been a lot of effort at greater integration. But what you absolutely have to do is to make sure that, be it a radio station or a masthead, they're serving their communities as effectively as they possibly can. And the media is, the notion of everybody doing everything for everybody is no longer the case. The Age has a particular audience that it serves pretty well. 3AW has. There is some overlap, but not complete overlap. And so therefore the head of 3AW needs to make the right calls for his audience, and so does the editor of the Age. But to your point, there were areas of overlap that we've dealt with and are continuing to deal with them, so that we can maximise the leverage of those assets.
Okay.
Thanks, Michael. David Polton from Inter-Ellison. Greg, thanks for your words today. And congratulations on your restraint for not asking whether a certain other media publication might be in 5 years' time. The question I had was in relation to some of the controversy that's been going around recently about, and some media organisations have taken what I would describe as a proprietorial position in opposition to the ABC as a concept. I wonder, does Fairfax have a corporate view about the existence of the ABC and its role?
Well, look, I mean, the ABC is part of the Australian landscape. I mean, it's been there for many years. It's going to continue to be there for many years. And it serves its communities exceptionally well. So I believe that you operate within the environment that you operate in, and that you don't focus all your attention on perceived opponents. What you do is you actually get on in serving the audiences that you focus on as best as you possibly can. That's what we do. We're not obsessed with anybody else. What we're obsessed with are the audiences that come to us to get served independent journalism. That's what we obsess about. We obsess about our customer. We obsess about our audience. And we believe that is the healthy approach to modern media.
I like your questions, Dave. Madeline.
Oh, hi. Madeline Hickman from the Age and the Morning Herald. I just wanted to read out a tweet from Rupert Murdoch 15 minutes ago to get your view on it. It said, just had exciting week in Australia with great team digging company out of many holes. Also met great group of young investors. Do you know what he's talking about, those holes?
No, I was going to ask Sarah up there, what holes was he talking about?
Don't know.
Oh, I think that's your job to find out, Mel.
Next question.
Jim Clark.
Hi, Jim.
Greg, about a year or so ago, there was a lot spoken about Fairfax getting involved increasingly with events, and there were appointments made and everything else. What's happening in that area? How's it going?
It's going exceptionally well. Events is, people ask why events. Events is, we're a media company, we're a communications company. Events is face-to-face communication. It's not one person removed communication. It's not virtual communication, it's face-to-face. It's absolutely within the strategy requirements of any media had events. You know, the Financial Review has had journalists that business people have wanted to meet, hear from, and so we've created those events. There's always been events and participatory events that we've created as part of sponsorship arrangements with the community, and the City of Surf is one of those. And so what happens in organisations is, organically, you start building businesses off the core that go beyond just aberration. They go to part of what you do. So we found all over the place that there was about $30 million worth of revenue with events being run all over the place. Now, so we just decided, well, $30 million is a business. So you pull it together and you focus it and you get leadership around that. So what we did is we created our events business, and Michael was saying that I'd spent a bit of time in government in the tourism and travel space and event space, and I came across many talented people there. One of those was Andrew McAvoy. Incredible guy, real talent, great commercial insights, headed up Tourism Australia, probably one of the great heads of Tourism Australia in generations. And he's come into our organisation and he's taken that and run with it. And he's expanded our Good Food Month from Sydney and Melbourne to nationally. City of Surf is now a national running event, increasing the number of business conferences that we've got, and he's got a target to grow that, treble that, quadruple that business. The beauty about that is that it comes off the audience that we create. So therefore, we can connect with the audience we create for our journalism to advise them of these events, which we then reconnect from. And all this comes into, as I say, funding journalism in different ways. Because you actually have to think, here's this audience, we only ever took cover price from the audience and offered them up to advertise. How can we do it in a different way? So instead of having two sources of revenue, we've now got 5 or 6. We've also got data, we've got content data. Different ways of making money about the way we do things. That's what's exciting. So people are coming in to Fairfax to do this in a different way. And they're finding an organisation that is embracing them. We're finding it. We're genuinely lean and agile. I mean, as I say, a lot of people have left, but that's provided a lot of opportunities internally for people to rise to the occasion and take on more responsibility and run with it. So it's going well.
Got time for a couple more questions, and while we wait for people to come up with some fabulous questions, just when you talk about investing in health, education and travel, what do you mean in particular by that?
Well, it just means that if you look at the value chain, I'm speaking sort of business jargon, if you look at the value chain through the internet, right? The media business has obviously at the beginning it was about here's a new way of delivering information. Then it clearly became not just about delivering information, it became, well, here's a new advertising platform, so we'll get engaged with advertising. So that's still sort of pretty traditional. But the great part of the internet is its transactional capability. You can buy and sell. And clearly that is where it is transforming not just core businesses, but enabling different opportunities. And so therefore as a media company, and why would you restrict yourself to 2/3 of the value chain and not go down there? Now, which businesses would you choose to invest in? You choose to invest in areas where you've got content, right? And it might be sort of hard news journalism, but it might be lifestyle content, it might be other types of journalism that audiences come to you and you have expertise and capability and you can translate that audience and help build these businesses, as well as providing marketing inventory that gives you a competitive advantage in those areas. But you choose the ones where you have capability. So the evolving strategy and this sort of view of a media business is not something that should ever just be constrained by the past. You actually have to, as you're developing a strategy for a media business, business open yourself out to these areas. And you can see already, Domain, which is an online real estate listings business, as well as providing other property services, is something that we're expanding. It's into that. It's into inventory control for real estate agents. It's a business that can grow in many ways. But that doesn't mean to say that you can't invest in other businesses that also take advantage of the internet's transactional capability and the fact that we have strong content around that we can use.
Yes, hi, Greg Roberts from AAP. Just with the printed editions of the newspapers, the circulation has significantly declined for a few years. I'm just wondering how you see that panning out in the future, whether it will level out, whether it will make a comeback, and it doesn't matter with online.
I mean, I remember before I left Fairfax in 2003, I was doing a lot of work around this, because there was a lot of debate at the time around whether or not we should provide sectional readership data. And so I went back and did a bit of work. It was very interesting. I mean, newspaper circulation peaked per capita in this country in 1949. Okay. It peaked in absolute terms in about 1978. So there haven't been, printed papers have been declining in absolute terms in this country since 1978, about 1 or 2% a year. So that there was, and so why was that? Well, people, you're in the time business. How much time have you got? So with all these other elements of life and all the greatest complexity of life, people make different choices about their time. So few and few for reading newspapers. Then came the internet. And the internet provided different ways and quite efficient ways of not reading the newspaper but still getting the information. So that occurred. And again, that cycle's there. So if you look at the Sydney Morning Herald and the Age, about 65% of its audience is through digital means. If that is where the audience is, that is what we're going to deliver to. So this notion of print and digital to me is sort of, it's one of those issues that while I can see why people are interested in it, the point about how you manage a business for the future is that you make sure that you put everything in context. If you've got a print audience, you do your best to hold that and hold the revenue within that, but you also absolutely make sure that you look at your digital audience. Now there's really one really important point, and this is the thing that we did at Fairfax and we led at Fairfax. It was quite apparent that the industry had been producing too many papers and it was losing money on the papers it was producing because it had this notion that it had to hit certain circulation targets. And that it was corporate pride that meant that the Herald had to sell this and the Age had to sell that. I said, well look, what we want, and the advertisers didn't believe it, what they wanted was people who read the paper. And we were using a production metric, not a sales metric. So we just said, okay, what's the number of people that actually will buy and read the publication? What's that number? So we found that number and we brought our circ down to that number, deliberately, 30%. So what now we have, and we increased the price 50% because people who wanted to get a printed newspaper were prepared to pay for it. It was that important to them. So we just changed the model to a higher, lower volume, higher yielding print model. And it's worked very effectively for us. All right? And we reduced production 30%, increased the price 50%. Just changing the model. And for the first time in 10 years, circulation revenue rose. And we certainly haven't been inundated by complaints about the price increases. And we maintained market share in readership, because how is that? Because people weren't reading the overproduction, and we maintained market share in terms of print revenue. So it was one of those perfect sweet spot decisions that we made. In the meantime, you know, don't confuse the fact that less people were reading journalism and newspapers and that they didn't like journalism, because the overall audience has never been stronger. The overall audience for journalism has never been higher. So if you look at the Emma metric, the Sydney Morning Herald reaches about 5.6 million Australians a month and is growing at about 5% a year. That's where you want to be. So all we did is say, what's the right economic model for the print side of the business? And what's the right economic model for the digital side of the business? And just worked in that world. Not a world hanging out in verities of the past. And that's what I'm saying, we fought our way through the politics. We just didn't instinctively do what people had done before and repeat what people had done before and hope that things would somehow change. Because they weren't going to change.
Last question, thank you.
You're saying you deliberately, Garrett, are you saying you deliberately reduced the circulation of the Sydney Morning Herald and the Age?
Yep. Absolutely. Very explicitly. We did it by increasing the price. Right, so we increased the price to reduce the circulation because we were producing papers, and everyone in the industry wanted to do it. I mean, it wasn't just us. All we did was act on it. All we did was act on it. Because you do the numbers, you're putting papers out and selling them for less than the cost of production. So why would you do that? It's just no one else, no other industry does that. And it was because there were notions of what a circulation number should be, that the Age should sell 200,000 a day, Monday to Friday. If 200,000 people weren't reading it, why are we doing that? Crazy. And then what you do is you actually, we made more money by selling this. That's what it gets down to. And that then enabled us to say, okay, we don't need Chilora and Tullamarine, which were built for those huge Saturday books. And so we could move out of that. That saves us $45 million a year. And think of this. This is all about sustaining journalism. If you don't make these decisions, you're not putting yourself in a commercial environment where you can sustain your journalism. You're just going to make all these calls. Then you make a call about, we've got 52 call centres around the country. You have to consolidate that. Then you make the call that let's work differently. Right? We did an audit of the number of desks we had in Sydney and Melbourne, and 40% of them were empty at any point in time. So we don't need as much space. So we work differently. I don't have an office. No one in the place has an office. You just work differently. In my office, where there was, like, the old office I had in the corner of the 5th floor in Sydney, and the CFO's office, and the company secretary's office, 3 people. There's now 52 people working in that space. You just think that these companies make what they cost. Oh, we need this, we need that, we need that, we need that. You don't need that. You need what you need. Right? So if you're serious about making calls about sustaining journalism, make the call. Step off the ledge.
Hi, Greg. My name's Miriam. I'm a reporter from Crikey. I was hoping to ask you about photography at Fairfax. So recently, the photography division...
Hold the microphone up close.
Sorry. So recently, the photography division was, there were plans to reduce it quite significantly. I wanted to ask you how Fairfax is going to put out attractive newspapers with far less original photography.
Well, we are. I mean, this decision has come and gone. We're putting out terrific publications. Look, we've always outsourced, or for many years outsourced photography. Most of the sports photography on the weekend was done by Getty for many years. So it is not as if this was it was an unprecedented action. And like we have, we've done on the production side of many parts of the logistics, we've outsourced that. Our view is that the reader, the viewer wants the information, wants the journalism, and that the environment that we live in, we have to produce that as efficiently as possible, so that we can put as many reporters in the field as possible. That's a priority. Really simple. And we're doing it. And so you make decisions which are counterintuitive. Oh, they haven't done that in the past, so you can't do it. I remember at the Fin Review, we did a redesign. We didn't have lines between the stories. I got a delegation of subs saying, can't do it. Well, we did it. The world went on. People got the stories. It's not about, it's just that, as I said, there's no rule book. The rule book is, look at the situation you're confronting and make the decisions relevant to that. Do the best you can. Get the best advice you can. Put all the options on the table. And then be prepared to make the decisions around it. And don't shy from that.
That's where we're going to wrap it up. Greg, thank you so much for the speech and telling us about the path ahead for Fairfax. I hope you enjoyed the at times robust questioning from your competitors. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Greg Hywood.